Oh, technology. It worked this time.
Hello, happy Saturday. How is everyone out there? It is Saturday. The lighting is kind of weird today.
Well, I think we're wearing dark shirts. It's overcast outside, so sometimes we get
But
natural
even
light
with the
coming in through the
lights,
windows.
something's a little wackadoo. Anyways, it is Saturday, so that means it is Whole Circle Studio Live time. We'll wait for a couple of more people to join, see if they're joining. If you are joining, if you're logged in, you can leave us comments, which is always awesome because that way we can chat with you. So before we get into it, this morning I was doing a little bit of quilting on the quilt behind us. We'll talk about in a minute or two. Jason is doing a bit of woodworking.
Yes.
I think last week we talked about going to get you a desk.
I'm going to show a picture.
Okay, and this week he is making a desktop.
I'm making a desk because we couldn't find, they were all out of stock of the tabletop we liked.
At IKEA. We got legs, but no tabletop.
So I decided I'm just going to use what I've got in the garage and let's go ahead and build something. So let's see if you can see that.
It's a photo of the desktop Jason is making. So what is it made out of, hon?
It is all just leftover scraps of hardwood flooring that I've collected over the years.
Yeah.
And underneath it's two handles from a wheelbarrow that is holding it all together.
Yeah. So we're
repurposing.
By the end of the weekend, we're hoping it will be done and we can start getting his work desk set up and he can get off the dining room table because it's been about 3.5 months that you've been working at our dining room table.
Yep. It's time to upgrade.
I'm more laughing that it's hard to believe that we've been living in a pandemic that long. It is and it isn't. I don't know. Time is just time anyways. So a few people are joining us. Hey, Diana. Diana's out there, and Ellen, it's good to see you. I'm glad you're here live with us this week. So welcome to Whole Circle Studio Live. I'm Sherry Safaldi Morrill of Whole Circle Studio. This is Jason, who is my husband, but also the other part of Whole Circle Studio, doing a lot of the behind the scenes and also joining me most weeks here on Whole Circle Studio Live. I am a designer, an independent pattern publisher, a teacher, both online and in person. And we are broadcasting here from my studio, which is also in our home just outside Woodbridge, Connecticut. So we're here every Saturday at noon Eastern time to talk about what's going on in the studio and just chat about quilting, chat sometimes about life, chat about tips, what's going on. So we're excited to be here. This is number 11. We started in the one of the weeks I mixed up the numbers, but anyways, so what's going on with you all this week? What's going on out there? Hey, Jenny from a couple of towns over. It's good to see you here. So what's been going on this week besides building a desk in the studio? I am
still doing your class Tuesdays.
I am. So we have one more class for the Get Comfortable with Curves class, and it's going really well, the online workshop. So we have one more on Tuesday. The class has been going really well. I'm going to be giving classes. I'm still teaching and giving presentations throughout the summer to guilds and shops. But for classes I'm running on my own, we're going to give it a little bit of a break for the summer, slow it down. We're actually going to go into what we were intending for 2020 to look like in the summer, which is design mode, really planning out the very, very end of 2020 of what patterns are coming up. I have a few more that are in the works that are planned. One of them we'll talk about today, but really thinking ahead for the next year. So Thursday and Friday was really good. I had some dedicated design time. And I'm super excited about one of the new designs I came up with, but it's way too early to talk about that. So, so it's been fun. I've been getting some previews of some fabric collections from manufacturers, things that are coming out in the fall. And there's one that pairs up really, really well with the design I've had in my mind for a couple of years now. So teasing this so you'll keep watching Whole Circle Studio Live.
It'll be a slow build.
Yeah. So
something amazing.
So July and August, that was the plan when we sat down at the beginning of the year to really plan out the year. Pretty much all the plans went out the window starting in mid-March, but it was fine. We adjusted, we pivoted. Everyone's word of the year 2020 is pivot. and it's gone well. It's gone well for a pandemic, but it's going to be kind of nice to go back to one of the things that I really planned on for July and August, and that's really in design mode. Of course, there's always other things going on in the background. There's still guilds and workshops and shops that I'm working with. And I will be announcing soon some online workshops that I'll be running for the general quilting community come late summer, probably early fall. We're also going to take that time to talk about technology a little bit, what we can improve with those online classes, playing around with some of our setup. So we're excited about that.
Methods.
Yeah. Also this week, I think it was last week or the week after, we talked about the 6-foot ruler quilt, which is behind Jason, which is currently available as the patterns are currently available as a PDF pattern on my website. Well, this week, came back from the printer, the print version. So this weekend, Jason and I will be stuffing patterns with templates into bags so that they can go out. Some wholesale orders for shops can go out. So if you're a shop and you're watching this, or you know of a shop that should be carrying my patterns, let them know about me. I love working with shops and having patterns being in shops and other places. And then we reordered. We're also going to be stuffing more of our Big Island Sky quilt because I ran out of the first batch. We had, excuse me, we had 4 left after last week, so I had to reorder some more. So it's stuffing time. So Jason, that's one thing Jason is dedicated. Every single bag is pretty much sealed. I stuff Jason seals. We do it while watching mostly trashy TV.
Or movies or...
Mostly TV.
Yeah.
Reruns of Shark Tank, which I do not think is trashy, but also watching Below Deck, which is one of my guilty pleasures. You too.
I don't know.
Anyways, probably know more about us than we need to. So anyway, so one other thing I wanted to share with you all this week that I've been working on is back in, I think it was January or February, I designed a new quilt block. It was actually a new quilt. Ruby Star Society had shared with me some of their upcoming collections. Yeah, it was February. They shared it with me. They were launching at Quilt Market. Spring Quilt Market didn't happen, but they still launched and introduced the new collections. And one of them is made with a fabric from Kimberly Kite for Ruby Star Society called Small, which are these prints behind us. And I was really inspired by them. There's some apple prints in them. You could see here, this is the blue colorway with some apples. And you could see here. And I was really inspired by the print, and following my citrus slices, I was like, well, how about apples? So this was actually one of the early prototypes. You can see the paper is still on it, but there's no numbers or anything, which is my quick mock-up. So this is the apple block I designed, and then turning it into a quilt, a runner, and a couple of other quilts. I'm calling it Apple Turnover. Aha. So I am finishing up that pattern. It's going to launch in August. One of the samples I made, I'm going to get out of the way, was again with this really pretty collection, these prints by Kimberly Kite. Again, it's called Small. I believe it'll be available in shops starting in September. The pattern will be available in August. I've already had some pre-orders for shops for the patterns. So I'm finishing up the quilt sample. It's all pieced. This is a 60 by 60. This is actually the center of the quilt, and then it goes out. And I have been spending time this week using my walking foot and quilting that sample so I can get it photographed for the cover. I'm also making a sample as a runner in some really cool art gallery fabrics. They're called the blenders, the elements. So I'm pretty excited about that. So I thought I would give you a super, super early sneak peek of that, of what's coming. Trying to think what else. One of the things I did this week before I dug into the quilting was figure out what colors I wanted to use to quilt it. So I just decided to go with a 40 weight thread, a little bit thicker than what I typically use for piecing, and just picked out some complementary colors that I had in my stash. So going to share those. I keep them in this while I'm quilting in this ceramic bowl that I made a million years ago when I took some ceramic classes.
Oh my God.
This was done in
99?
2002.
Oh, two.
Yeah, I took some pottery classes. So I have sort of this really paley pink and this blue. So you can see I typically try to match my threads pretty close. That way the quilting really complements and doesn't compete with the quilt top. I also have an orange. You could see, I'm trying to maneuver both down here. There's this orange print. I have sort of a taupey color for in these areas, and then a navy blue for the really, really darker areas up here. So yeah, so that is what I've been working on. I was there's some loose threads, yeah, from some starts and some stops. So I haven't buried all the threads. I do like to. I've been doing less and less of it because I've been going over lines a lot when I quilt, but I do like to sort of start and stop. That allows me to match threads and then go back and knot, bring the bottom thread up to the top, make a knot, and then use a needle, an easy threading needle to bury the thread. Instead of kind of making a knot in one place, it kind of is a little bit more attractive. You don't get that thread buildup. So that's what I've been doing. I was working on this a little bit yesterday, Thursday night when I woke up in the middle of the night and couldn't fall asleep, I did some quilting. And this morning I was working on it, and I'll probably maybe work on it later today. So what are you all working on out there? Are you quilting? Are you piecing? One other thing I wanted to talk about was, I thought I brought it down. Oh, here it is. I did bring it down. One of the things that I'll like to do is typically follow seams. And then sometimes I'll mark my seam, depends. This I really wanted for the background. I'm quilting a grid in the background. I always start in the middle and kind of work out, do a little bit of quilting, stop, change threads, then work sort of on the next bit and kind of so I'm working in the middle and going out. Well, one thing I'll do to make sure that my lines stay pretty straight is I'll follow one seam, and then I'll use my ruler to mark off of the seam. For this, I'm doing lines for the background 1 inch apart, and I'll use a Clover Hera marker. I'll put a link to this in the notes if you're not sure what this is. Essentially, it's just a piece of plastic with sort of a fine edge. And what this will allow me to do is I could put an acrylic ruler down and put a crease. And for most fabrics, I'll be able to see that crease, and then I could just follow that crease while I'm quilting.
Is that the one you lost last night?
It is. Good thing I have 2 or 3 of these. I didn't really lose it. It was just Jason, of course, found. I would spend 10 minutes looking for it, and Jason came in the room and found it right away.
It was right there.
Yeah. So, I just realized that the fabrics I'm going to be making the runner out of this are sitting below my laptop. So maybe next week we'll show you those. Let's see what's going on in the comments. Amy is working on curves and sew along. Awesome. Amy, I wonder, are you using Drunkard's Path curves or other curves? I hope you're enjoying curves. Let me know. That's something, like I said, we're working on in the workshop I'm running right now. I love curves. It does take a bit of patience to get it and practice, but they're a lot of fun to make, and they look super complicated, but once you get the hang of them, they're not.
I was laughing at Jenny's comment.
Oh, I haven't gotten there yet. Amy is new to sewing and quilting, so the curves have been a challenge, but I really like them. Yeah. So, yeah, it does take a little bit of practice, but stick with it.
Lots of pins.
Well, that's not the only, that's the way I do it and I teach, but you don't necessarily have to. I would say that there's different ways to sew curves. I'm in the camp of taking the time to pin, and then it's a lot easier. Mm-hmm. So, but I'd be interested, Amy, in what technique you're using to sew those curves. Ellen said Hera markers are great. Yeah, totally. Jenny said, send Jason over to find my tape. Oh, you lost your tape measure. He does have an uncanny way of finding things that I lose. Anyways. Amy is working. Oh, you're working on a butterfly quilt. Oh, I wonder if it's the one. I think I know which one It's sort of like a minimalist butterfly, Amy. If it is, I think I've seen that pattern.
A curvy butterfly.
Yeah, I forgot the name of the designer, but I've seen one floating around. Haha, I didn't even see that floating around butterflies. Get it? Jenny is finishing up masks and a mini with your typecast FPP pattern. Excellent, excellent. Well, hopefully get those masks done and get on to other sewing and move on. So yeah. Trying to think what else. Anything else that you could think of, Jason, with apple turnover? What's been going on this week?
I don't think so.
No.
I think that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So we, like I said, we're trying to chill a little. Our plan is still to be on every Saturday throughout the summer, talking about updates. Like I said, we're going to slow it down a little bit and doing more long-term planning for things. So we may not have as many updates or exciting updates, but we'll be
talk about my projects.
Good. Hands up. Who wants to hear about Jason's garage projects? It includes
There's so many
tractors and rebuilding windows.
That's what I just started before I came in.
You're going to hijack Whole Circle Studio Live, aren't you? I guess I really need to think about content.
It'll be Whole Circle Studio Live in the garage.
Yeah, I don't know about
We've
that.
got a good Wi-Fi signal.
We do have an extra booster Wi-Fi in the garage, so we can make it that way. Amy, Simone is the pattern, and I'm using Cheryl McConnell's template. Oh, okay. I don't know if that's the one I'm thinking of. I'll have to check it out. Butterfly bouquet. Awesome. Awesome. Well, Amy, I'd love to see photos of what you're working on. Definitely shoot me an email or, I think that's really cool. I love, obviously I love people sharing work of patterns that I've made, but I also love seeing all quilts. So let's keep in touch with what people are doing. So yeah, so if you're watching this, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. We definitely have been seeing numbers going up, which is awesome. It helps a lot. It helps my channel, these videos, to be seen by other quilters. It also, once we hit a certain number, 1,000, I believe, we can do other things on my phone, which means we could take you places, which will be really, really fun.
Like the garage. Keep going.
Anyway, sorry. So yeah, or if you're watching the replay of this, leave a comment below and hit subscribe. Like I said, it doesn't cost you anything, but it helps us out. So also, we'd love to hear from you if there's things you want to know about, processes, things that we've talked about in other videos, past videos. You can go back and see all the Whole Circle Studio Lives. Let me know. That way we'll cover them in a future Saturday. So we are here every Saturday at noon Eastern time. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.